Living in the flow. What Stoicism, Taoism, and quantum physics have in common. Have you ever thought that life is like a river, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, but always flowing? And just like a leaf floating on the water, we might learn more about living by observing nature than from any self-help manual. Today, we're going to explore what Stoicism, Taoism, and even quantum physics can teach us about living in the flow of life. Ready to discover the secret to living with lightness and purpose? Did you know that a leaf floating down a river can teach you more about life than any self-help manual? The leaf doesn't try to fight the current. It doesn't calculate where it's going, but it's also not passive. It navigates with the river, adapting to the curves, the rapids, and the moments of calm. And, curiously, it reaches its destination effortlessly. In life, perhaps we are more like leaves than we'd like to admit. If that already made you reflect, wait until you discover how Wu Wei can change the way you handle daily challenges. Imagine yourself trying to row against the strong current of a deep river. Sweat drips down your forehead, your arms ache, and it seems like you're barely moving. Now, imagine letting go of the oars and allowing the river to carry you. You're still in the same river, but the feeling is completely different, right? Life is often like that river. The big question is, are you fighting the current or letting yourself be carried by the flow? This text is about the flow of life and about what Stoicism, Taoism, and quantum physics can teach us about living better in this flow. It might seem like a strange combination, right? Ancient philosophies and modern science? But if you look closer, you'll see that, at their core, they point to something very similar: the importance of accepting uncertainty, acting without forcing, and understanding that we are part of something bigger. Let's explore this path together. Get ready, because the answers might not be where you expect. Wu Wei, the art of not forcing. Did you know that Wu Wei is like an ancestral superpower that transforms effort into lightness? Imagine you're in a video game, facing a boss. Most people try to defeat it by attacking non-stop, but Wu Wei is like discovering the secret button that activates easy mode. It's not about giving up, it's about understanding the game and using energy intelligently. Have you ever tried to open a glass jar? And the harder you tried, the more it resisted, until, in a moment of calm, you adjust the angle of your hand, and almost effortlessly, the lid comes off? That's Wu Wei, a central concept in Taoism that can be translated as non-action, or acting without effort. But pay attention, Wu Wei doesn't mean inertia or laziness. It's not about crossing your arms and waiting for life to solve everything for you. It's about acting in harmony with the natural flow of things. Think of birds flying in formation or a river finding its way among the rocks. They aren't fighting against nature, they're dancing with it. Taoism teaches us that often our greatest sufferings come from resisting what is. When we insist on having absolute control over everything, we become like the one rowing against the current, tired, frustrated, and stagnant. But when we surrender to the flow of life, like the river that adapts to the curves, we find a kind of freedom. Ask yourself, where in your life are you putting in more effort than you need? And what if you tried letting go of the oars a bit? What if I told you your life could be like this game? The secret is in adjusting your movement to the right rhythm. But what happens when we resist? This brings us straight to Stoicism. Stoicism, acceptance and serenity. Have you ever stopped to think that even the universe might be stoic? The entire cosmos is a spectacle of acceptance. Stars die, galaxies collide, and everything continues in balance. Life on Earth is like watching a storm from the highest point of a mountain. The winds blow, but you perceive that it's just another chapter in the great book of the universe. The Stoics captured this serenity, reminding us that our inner peace depends on accepting what we cannot control. Now, let's travel to ancient Rome and Greece. Imagine a man with a gray beard sitting calmly as he watches a ship sink in the harbor. This man is Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers. He once said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them." For the Stoics, the key to living well is distinguishing between what we can control and what we cannot. It seems simple, but think, how many times do you get anxious or angry about something beyond your control? The weather, traffic, other people's opinions? Stoicism invites us to focus only on what depends on us, our thoughts, our actions, our attitude. This idea has a powerful connection with Wu Wei. Just like in Taoism, the Stoics believe that resisting the inevitable is a recipe for suffering. Instead, they preach acceptance. Accepting what we cannot change is not an act of weakness, it's an act of strength. It's like saying, "This is what it is, and I will make the best of what I have." And you? What in your life are you trying to control uselessly? And what if, instead of resisting, you chose to accept? Now think, what would happen if you faced life's problems with this cosmic serenity? Let's see how quantum physics gives a modern touch to this vision. Quantum physics, the dance of uncertainty. What if I told you your next decision already exists as a probability in a quantum sea of possibilities? In quantum physics, everything is about potential. The universe is always waiting to be shaped by your observation. It's as if every choice you make is a stone thrown into a lake, creating waves that spread out. By accepting uncertainty, you not only embrace the mystery of life, but also become a co-creator of your own destiny. In the quantum world, everything is fluid, uncertain, and interconnected. Imagine an electron. It's not in a fixed place, but exists as a cloud of possibilities. Only when we observe it does it decide to be somewhere. This idea, known as the uncertainty principle, shows us that the universe, at its most fundamental level, is unpredictable. If this sounds unsettling, you're not alone. But here's the point. Quantum physics isn't just about particles. It's a reminder that uncertainty is an inherent part of life. We desperately try to plan every detail, predict every outcome, but the truth is that life is full of surprises. Accepting this is like learning to surf. Instead of trying to control the sea, you learn to dance with the waves. What if, instead of fearing the unknown, you embraced it? What if uncertainty wasn't something to avoid but an opportunity for growth and discovery? It sounds magical, right? But wait until we see how these ideas converge in an invitation to live in the flow. Now, let's jump to the labs of modern science. Quantum physics, with its complicated equations and intriguing experiments, seems to be in a completely different universe from ancient philosophies. But is it really? Connecting the dots. Did you know that Wu Wei, Stoicism, and quantum physics form a perfect triangle for living in the flow? Think about it. Wu Wei teaches us to act with lightness, Stoicism, to accept what we cannot change, and quantum physics, to embrace uncertainty. Together, they create a kind of secret manual for navigating life. It's like a maestro coordinating three different but harmonious instruments. Now, let's stitch these three ideas together. What do Wu Wei, Stoicism, and quantum physics have in common? In one word, flow. Wu Wei teaches us to act without forcing, in harmony with the natural rhythm of things. Stoicism reminds us to accept what we cannot change and focus on what is within our reach. And quantum physics invites us to embrace uncertainty, recognizing that absolute control is an illusion. Think of life as a dance. You don't control the music, but you can choose how to move. Some people stand still, waiting for a perfect melody. Others try to impose their rhythm forcefully, tripping over their own feet. But the best dancers are those who listen to the music, adjust to the rhythm, and surrender to the moment. And you? How have you been dancing with life lately? And now, how about a story to illustrate this in practice? Stories of the flow. This story of a Taoist farmer is like the missing piece to understanding the flow of life. The farmer didn't react with despair or euphoria because he knew that life is a set of interconnected events. like dominoes falling in sequence. This Taoist vision reminds us that we don't always understand the meaning of things at the moment they happen, but that doesn't mean there isn't a greater purpose unfolding. Let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a farmer. One day, his horse ran away. The neighbors, sympathetic, said, "What bad luck?" But the farmer replied, "Maybe." The next day, the horse returned, bringing with it 3 wild horses. The neighbors exclaimed, "What good luck?" But the farmer replied, "Maybe." The next day, the farmer's son tried to tame one of the wild horses and broke his leg. The neighbors lamented, "What bad luck?" The farmer replied, "Maybe." Days later, the army passed through the village, recruiting young men for the war. The farmer's son was spared because of his broken leg. The neighbors said, "What good luck?" And the farmer replied, "Maybe." This story of Taoist origin is a perfect example of Wu Wei and Stoicism in action. The farmer didn't judge events as good or bad. He simply accepted them as part of the flow of life. Now think, in which areas of your life could you be more like the farmer? Where can you let go of judgment and trust that the river is taking you to the right place? How to live in the flow. Did you know that even bamboo, a symbol of flexibility, can teach us to live better? When the wind blows strong, bamboo doesn't break. It bends, adapts, but never loses its essence. And you? Are you being rigid like an oak or flexible like bamboo? By integrating practices like meditating on control and accepting uncertainty, you can become a human bamboo, strong and flexible at the same time. Here are some simple practices to start. Meditate on control. Ask yourself daily, is this within my control? If it's not, practice letting go. Tune into the moment. Just as a surfer observes the waves before entering the sea, take time to listen to your life. What's the rhythm now? Is it asking for action or patience? Accept uncertainty. When something unexpected happens, instead of reacting with fear or anger, try saying, "Maybe this is part of the path." Practice minimal effort. Identify where you're putting in more energy than needed. Like the jar that opens with a small adjustment, sometimes less is more. Observe interconnection. Remember that you are part of a larger whole. Your choices impact the flow around you, just as the river shapes the rocks it encounters. But how would your life be if you accepted the final invitation to live in the flow? That's what we'll see now. Living in the flow doesn't mean giving up everything or being passive. It's about finding balance. Living in the flow of life means acting in harmony with the world around us, accepting what we cannot control, and embracing uncertainty as an opportunity, not a threat. The Taoist concept of Wu Wei teaches us to not force things, while Stoicism reminds us that serenity comes from focusing on what is within our power. Meanwhile, quantum physics shows us that the universe operates in a sea of possibilities, always fluid and interconnected. Together, these ideas invite us to dance with life's rhythm instead of fighting against it. The invitation. What if the greatest secret of life were as simple as dancing with the river? In the end, living in the flow is a choice. It's not about giving up, but about trusting in the river, in the universe, in yourself. It's realizing that just as water shapes the rocks, the currents of life are also shaping you. The question is, will you resist or will you flow? In what areas of your life do you feel like you're putting unnecessary effort into things? What would it look like to act with less resistance? Do you often worry about things that are beyond your control? What would change if you focused only on what you can influence? How do you deal with uncertainty? Could it be seen as an opportunity rather than a threat? What does living in the flow mean to you? What would it look like to adjust to the natural rhythm of things? What small daily practices could help you integrate these ideas into your life? Life is like that river we mentioned at the beginning. We don't know exactly where it ends, nor what we'll encounter along the way, but we can choose how to navigate. Will you fight the current or allow yourself to dance with the flow? Will you try to control every drop of water or open yourself to the mystery? Taoism, Stoicism, and quantum physics remind us that the secret to living well isn't in conquering the river, but in learning to flow with it. After all, the greatest strength isn't rigidity, but flexibility. Like the bamboo that bends in the wind or the river that finds its way, we can adapt, accept, and thus live in harmony. And you? In which areas of your life do you feel like you're putting in unnecessary effort? What would it look like to act with less resistance? What do you do when faced with something beyond your control? Could accepting it bring you more peace? How do you deal with uncertainty? What if you saw it as an opportunity for growth and learning? Are you ready to live in the flow? Then, how about letting go of the oars and opening yourself to the mystery? Because deep down, the river of life knows exactly where it's going. If this content made you reflect, give this video a like, share it with someone who's also seeking more ease in life, and leave a comment about how you navigate the flow of your day-to-day life. I've also prepared an exclusive ebook with practical exercises to help you integrate Wu Wei and Stoicism into your routine. The link is in the first pinned comment. Take this chance to start your transformation today. And to continue your learning journey, choose one of the videos here on the screen. Let's discover new ways to live with more purpose and flow together. And you? Are you ready to let go of the oars and trust the flow of life?